Imagine for a second that you could bypass all the noise.
All of it.
Forget the golf magazines, ignore the YouTube gurus, and definitely tune out the guy at the driving range giving you unsolicited advice.
Right.
Imagine you could just ask an advanced AI to design the absolute perfect golf swing.
And by perfect, we don't just mean the prettiest one.
No, exactly. Not the one that wins style points on Instagram. I mean the swing that is the most biomechanically efficient, the one that obeys the laws of physics with the least wasted energy, and crucially, the lowest risk of injury. Now, if you did that, you probably expect the computer to spit out a video of, I don't know, Tiger Woods in 2000, or maybe Rory McIlroy, right?
That would be the logical assumption. I mean, we've all been conditioned to believe that what wins on TV, that dynamic, fluid, almost violent motion, is the pinnacle of perfection.
Exactly. But recently, the team over at Graves Golf actually ran this experiment. They fed the biomechanical data into an AI, and the answer it came back with was, well, it was a little insulting to the modern aesthetic.
It didn't look like a tour pro at all.
Not even close. It looked like a guy standing way too far from the ball, legs stiff, arms reaching out. I mean, essentially, the AI reinvented the single plane swing, the one made famous by the late eccentric legend Mo Norman.
It's a jarring image when you first see it, but it immediately frames the conflict we are seeing in golf right now. We are living through this era that is just obsessed with speed.
Oh, totally.
It's all about ground reaction forces, torque, carry distance. But this AI experiment exposes this huge tension between the traditional swing high power but massive stress on the body and this single plane approach.
Which prioritizes geometry and, frankly, saving your lower back.
Exactly.
And that is our mission for this deep dive. We have a massive stack of research here. We're talking biomechanics studies from Stanford, papers from 2025 on angular impulse, and practical stuff from instructors like Danny Maud and the Graves team.
Yeah.
We are going to unpack the physics of how a swing actually generates power, compare these two schools of thought, and hopefully help you find a way to hit the ball without needing an ice pack afterwards.
Which, let's be honest, is the real goal for most of us. Because when you peel back the layers of the modern swing, you realize it is practically designed to hurt you if you aren't in peak athletic condition.
So let's start there. Let's start with the villain of the story, or maybe just the anti-hero, the traditional swing. This is what we see 99% of the time on tour.
Right.
When we talk about generating power in this style, the term kinetic chain always comes up. I hear it on broadcasts constantly. Yeah. He's got a great kinetic chain. What is actually happening there?
Think of the kinetic chain as a relay race for energy. It's the standard biomechanical model.
Yeah.
The basic idea is that power isn't created all at once.
Okay.
It's generated in a very specific sequence, starting from the ground up.
So feet first.
Exactly. The feet push against the ground, which rotates the hips. The hips transfer that energy to the torso pulls the arms, and then finally the arms whip the club through.
Hips, torso, arms, club.
That's the sequence.
It sounds so smooth when you say it like that. Very coordinated.
It is when it works. But the key to speed isn't just moving those parts fast. It's about separation. There's a critical term in biomechanics called the X factor.
Sounds like a superhero movie.
It does, but in golf, the X factor is the difference in rotation between your hips and your shoulders at the top of the backswing.
Okay.
So imagine your hips turn 45 degrees, but your shoulders turn 90. That difference creates torque. You are essentially winding your torso up like a giant rubber band against the resistance of your hips.
So I'm twisting my spine to create tension. That sounds tight.
It's a massive amount of tension. A Stanford medicine study analyzing pros found that the average peak X factor, that moment of maximum stretch, was about 56 degrees.
Wow.
That is an extreme range of motion, and that stored energy is what snaps the club back down.
But there's a counterintuitive part here. I was reading through the notes on this, and you mentioned deceleration. That just didn't make sense to me. If I want to hit it fast, don't I need to accelerate everything?
This is the part that baffles most amateurs, and it's where the physics gets really, really interesting. The data shows that for the clubhead to accelerate to its max speed at impact, the body segments actually have to decelerate in sequence.
Wait, slow down. To go fast, I have to slow down.
Think of it like cracking a whip. If you want the tip of the whip to break the sound barrier, what do you do with the handle?
You throw it forward, then you kind of snap it back.
You stop the handle abruptly. That momentum has to go somewhere, so it just rushes to the tip.
Okay, I can visualize that. The energy transfers because the handle stopped.
The golf swing works the same way.
Yeah.
Your hips fire aggressively, but then they have to slam on the brakes so the energy transfers up to the torso. Then the torso fires and brakes so the energy goes to the arms. If your hips just keep spinning freely, you lose that whip crack.
You're just spinning in a circle.
Exactly.
So let me get this straight. I'm generating massive torque, winding my spine up like a pretzel, and then my body has to violently slam on the brakes to snap the club through.
Correct. That's the modern power game in a nutshell.
That sounds violent.
It is. It's incredibly taxing on the joints. And to do this, modern swing theory relies on ground reaction forces. You're pushing hard off the ground.
Yeah.
But the research points to a specific detail called the S factor, involving shoulder tilt, which leads to a movement that causes a lot of back problems.
Uh-oh.
To make the geometry work, the golfer's hips typically have to rise up about 2 to 3 inches through impact.
Wait, the hips go up, so you're essentially jumping.
In a way, yes. Biomechanically, it's often called early extension when amateurs do it poorly, but even pros do a controlled version of it to create space.
So you are compressing the spine with rotation while simultaneously extending upward.
And this leads to what biomechanics expert Chris Brook calls the theory of opposite pairs.
Opposite pairs. Okay, let's break that down.
It just means you can't change one thing in isolation. Every movement needs a counterbalance. For example, a lot of people watch YouTube videos on shallowing the club.
Everyone wants to shallow the club. It's the holy grail of YouTube golf.
Right. But Chris Brook points out that if you shallow the club, you must increase your side bend, tilting your torso to the right, to balance it out. The traditional swing is a complex house of cards. If one pair is out of sync, the whole thing collapses.
Or your lower back takes the hit.
More often than not, yeah.
Which brings us back to the AI. The computer looked at all that complexity, the jumping, the timing, the side bend, and said, no thanks. It pointed to the single plane swing.
Yeah.
Now, I know this is associated with Mo Norman, taught by guys like Todd Graves, but practically speaking, what makes this so different? Why did the AI choose this?
It comes down to simplifying the geometry. The core philosophy of the single plane swing is just incredibly simple. Start at impact.
Start at impact. I love the sound of that because it feels like cheating. Like I'm just going to stand exactly where I want to end up.
It basically solves a massive geometry problem. Think about the traditional swing. You address the ball with your hands hanging low, right? The club shaft is on one angle.
Okay, sure. Pointing at my belt buckle roughly.
But when you actually hit the ball, centrifugal force pulls your arms out. Your hands are higher. The shaft is on a different, higher plane.
Right.
So during the swing, you have to lift your body and compensate to get from plane A to plane B.
That's the jumping you mentioned earlier.
Precisely. The single-plane golfer says, why make that adjustment? They address the ball with the arms extended and the shaft already on the impact plane.
I've seen videos of Mo Norman doing this. It looks stiff at first. He stands really far from the ball. But you're saying this removes the variable of finding the ball mid-swing.
It removes the vertical change. The data comparison from Grades Golf is, it's striking. In a traditional swing, you start with about 6 degrees of spine tilt, but you need to be at 15 or 20 at impact.
So you're moving your spine a lot.
In the single plane, you set up with that 15 to 20 degrees of tilt already established, your preset.
So you don't have to find that position while swinging 100 miles an hour. You just stay there.
Exactly. And because you are already on that plane, the pelvis doesn't need to thrust upward. The data shows the pelvis in a single plane swing stays level or even moves down slightly. It eliminates that spinal compression.
There's an analogy they use that really clicked for me. They talk about skipping a rock.
This is key for visualizing the motion. When you skip a stone across a pond, how does your hand move?
Well, I step into it, my arm swings sidearm, and my palm is facing the target.
Right. You don't roll your wrist over, your palm stays square to the target line for a long time. In the single plane swing, the right hand for a righty mimics that exact motion.
Non-rotational.
It moves non-rotationally, straight back and straight through.
Versus a traditional swing where the hands are constantly rolling over each other.
Yes. In a traditional swing, you have to time that rotation perfectly. A fraction of a second early, you hook it. A fraction late, you slice it. The single plane motion removes that timing variable.
So we have the traditional swing. High torque, whip crack, athletic jumping, and single plane. Preset, fewer moving parts, protects the back. But here's where I get confused.
Okay.
Does this apply to every club? Because I feel like I'm guilty of trying to swing my 7-iron exactly like I swing my driver. I just want to crush both of them.
You are definitely not alone there. But we have a fascinating study published in PLOS 1 in 2025 that says biomechanically, you really, really shouldn't be doing that.
What did they find? Because I assume a swing is a swing.
Well, they analyzed the driver versus the irons, and they found distinct differences. They described the driver swing as being characterized by slow-paced energy accumulation.
Slow-paced energy accumulation. That sounds like how I wake up on Monday.
Ideally. But for the swing, it means the driver requires a longer time to reach peak velocity. Because the club is long and you're sweeping it, the swing relies on a wide horizontal rotation.
Okay, so widen sweeping, like a merry-go-round.
Good analogy. But the irons are different. They require a compact transition. The study showed that the shorter the club, the faster the timing of the lead arm's peak velocity. The force is directed differently.
How so? How is the force different?
The study talks about angular impulse. Think of the driver as using horizontal impulse rotational force. The irons require more frontal impulse force directed more vertically and linearly. You aren't sweeping, you are compressing down on the ball.
So if you use that big sweeping driver motion on a 7-iron,
You're biomechanically mismatched, you'll probably hit it thin or fat, you lose the precision.
that explains a lot of bad shots. Now, knowing the physics is one thing, but actually taking this to the course is another. Danny Maud talks about this disconnect, the range hero phenomenon.
This is a brilliant mental tool. Because you cannot think about angular impulse while you are swinging. It's impossible.
The brain can't process it fast enough.
No. So Maud separates the process. The technical box is behind the ball. That is where you do your thinking. You rehearse that skipping the stone feeling. You check your grip. That is where you are a mechanic.
But once you walk up to the ball,
You cross into the play box. In the play box, no mechanics. You only visualize the target. The body speaks the language of feel and image, not words.
he has a drill that bridges this gap, especially for that sway we talked about.
Yeah.
The palms to the sky drill. I tried this and felt ridiculous, but it worked.
It's highly effective. The goal is to teach that spiraling motion rotation rather than sliding sideways. You drop
Yeah.
the club, hold your arms out, palms facing up.
Okay, like I'm holding 2 pizzas.
Sure, 2 pizzas. Now, turn into your backswing, keeping
Right.
the palms up.
If I keep them up,
Yeah.
yeah, I can't really sway. I have to turn.
Exactly. It forces your body to spiral upwards like a corkscrew. It keeps you centered. It's a great feeling to lock in.
It's amazing how much of this is just moving the body correctly. But we have to talk about the elephant in the room, back pain.
Mhm.
We have some insights from Orthopedic One that are a bit of a wake-up call, specifically about our tendons.
This was a sobering detail for me. We think of our tendons like rubber bands, but the research shows that as we age, our tendons literally dry up.
That is a visceral image, drying up.
It is, but it's accurate. They lose water content, elasticity. A 20-year-old's tendons are like fresh rubber bands. A 50-year-old's are like those old ones you find in a junk drawer.
They snap if you pull them too hard.
Exactly.
So if you're 50 and trying to mimic a 20-year-old Tour Pro's X Factor, that 56 degrees of separation,
You are a recipe for disaster. This is why a warm-up is non-negotiable. And they point out something else, kinetic chain weaknesses, specifically glute strength.
it always comes back to the glutes.
It does. If your glutes are weak, they can't stabilize the pelvis, so your lower back has to take over that job, and it is not designed for that.
So doing some squats might do more for your golf game than hitting another bucket of balls.
Without a doubt.
This brings us to a pivotal point. We've sold the single plane swing pretty hard here as the safer, more efficient option. The AI chose it. The physics support it. But if it's so good, why isn't everyone doing it? Why do Rory and Scotty Scheffler use the traditional swing?
That's the million-dollar question. And it comes down to variability and just maximum output. Elite athletes are exceptionally good at compensating.
You're just better athletes than the rest of us.
They are. They can handle the high torque, complex timing of the traditional swing to squeeze out that extra 5% of power. They are chasing peak performance, not necessarily longevity.
It's like the difference between a Formula One car and a Tesla. The F1 car is faster, but it requires a pit crew and breaks down constantly. The Tesla, the single plane swing, is efficient, reliable, and gets you there safely.
That's a fair analogy, but we are seeing single plane principles creep in. I mean, look at Bryson DeChambeau.
I was waiting for Bryson, the mad scientist.
He is the primary modern example. He uses thicker grips, he keeps the club on a single plane, he eliminates that wrist rotation, and he's won the U.S. Amateur, the NCAA, and major championships. He proves the concept works at the elite level.
But he's looked at as an outlier, a weirdo.
He is. Tradition is a powerful drug in golf. Most pros still accept the injury risk because that's what they were taught. But remember, they have access to world-class physios and trainers.
The listener tuning in probably doesn't have a physio on speed dial.
Probably not.
So let's bring this home. If you're standing on the range this weekend trying to figure this out, what's the verdict?
If we summarize, the traditional swing is high torque, whip crack energy, significant spinal compression. It's powerful, but physically costly.
And the alternative?
The single plane swing is about starting at impact. It simplifies the geometry, it protects the back, it uses that non-rotational hand motion to improve consistency.
So if back pain is your nemesis, or you just don't have 5 hours a day to practice timing?
The data heavily favors the single plane approach. It aligns with how the body wants to move efficiently without tearing itself apart.
It might feel weird at first.
It will. It feels almost robotic, but your spine will thank you.
And isn't longevity the goal? We want to play this game when we're 80, not retire at 45 because we blew a disc.
Exactly. The best swing is the one that matches your physical limitations, not the one that matches a 25-year-old on TV.
I want to leave you with a thought to mull over. We opened with an AI determining that the single plane swing is the most efficient way to hit a ball. If the math, the physics, and the injury data all point to this method, why do 99% of instructors still teach the complex, back-breaking, traditional swing? Are we just addicted to doing things the hard way because it looks correct?
It really makes you wonder how much aesthetic drives our decisions over actual function.
Maybe the next time you set up to the ball, try feeling like you're already at impact and just see what happens. You might surprise yourself. That's it for this deep dive. Go skip some rocks. We'll catch you next time.